Cheated on my husband, but things have improved. God, I'm sweating just writing this. I have not told a soul. Helped. Worried I've made a mistake.
Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started.
Cheated on my husband, but things have improved. God, I'm sweating just writing this. I have not told a soul. For the last 2 years, my husband and my relationship has been very poor. He would constantly put seeing friends above spending any time with me. Did not ever initiate in the bedroom, and our sex life dropped down to zero. He put me down and constantly would dismiss my concerns as overacting. At my insistence, we started seeing a marriage counselor. Not only was the counselor a bad fit, he literally seemed to nod off sometimes. But my husband refused to participate, and I would constantly have to ask him to talk about any issues. My husband would come home and barricade himself in his office or simply go out with friends instead. By the way, this is very similar to how his father treats his mother. I was always ready to acknowledge faults within myself. Too ready, I now think. By February, I was completely fed up and ready to divorce. This is going to grate in the sides of anyone who reads it, but I have been an incredibly devoted wife. I work hard at my job, come home and cook meals, do the house cleaning. I worked out and dressed sexily, but it was all for naught. I have a high sex drive, and when I try to initiate, I was told it turns him off when I am too forward. But when I waited for him to initiate, nothing happened. At my workplace, I met someone about 5 years younger than me that I was supervising. Troubled, depressive, but with an extremely kind heart, who gave people the shirt off his back despite being poor. He is also a drop-dead gorgeous. I told him I was attracted to him, and he was flattered. But he said he would never have a relationship with a married woman. And then I lied to him and said I was in an open relationship with my husband, and he went for it. We started by just making out, but it progressed to sex. God, what sex! My lover's penis was so big, it would pound my cervix. His cum in my mouth felt like a drink of water after months of crawling in a parched desert. I was extremely careful and paranoid about making sure no one suspected anything. I even switched departments 5 months ago, so I no longer work with my lover. I delete every conversations we ever have and insist that he do so too. He is a very gullible person, though sweet, and believes me when I say it because I didn't want to get in trouble from work. By the beginning of April, my husband could tell that something was very, very wrong. I was withdrawn from him completely. Honestly, I was thinking about divorce almost every day. I finally confronted him with a different counselor and outspilled how dire the situation was and how incredibly frustrated I was. Minus the cheating part, an amazing thing happened. He got it and actually started to change. It has been taking a while, but over the last few months, he has been making a serious effort to change. We got to a different counselor who is very good and work on problems together. He finally understood that he was going to lose me for good. We read an excellent book called The 5 Love Languages that helped him a lot. During some of those months where things were changing, I kept my relationship with my lover. I do feel guilty about that. I honestly love him as well and didn't want to abandon him. A month and a half ago, I broke up with my lover. He actually had been doing some illegal activities, and I told him that I could not take that anymore. He understood. Our relationship had a positive influence on him and how he views women. I told him to still call me in emergencies. My relationship with my husband is still evolving. Our sex life is there, though small. We both are working on our relationship. And of course, Just so you know, I also am working on issues. Recently, we brought up that I hide things from him that I am afraid he will react badly to. I agreed this was a major problem, but I will never tell him about my affair. I will never hurt him like that. I feel guilty, but honestly, not that much. Probably should feel more guilty. I am just grateful that I am able to keep him and that things will hopefully continue to get better. I feel a lot better just having typed this. Helped. Worried I've made a mistake. A year ago tomorrow, my husband and I separated. After 11 years together and 4.5 married, I changed my mind and decided I wanted a child. We had discussed this over the years and decided to be child-free before we were married. My husband was very sure about this. I was less sure, but sure that I wanted to be with him. When I changed my mind, we were both devastated. We did some counseling, but ultimately decided that we couldn't change our fundamental positions. This was an incredibly low point for both of us. After he moved out, I think both of us realized that there was a lot more going on than just the child issue. The past few years of our relationship had been filled with growing resentment and slow distancing, brought on by some selfish decisions on my part and withdrawal on his part, compounded, I believe, by some pretty heavy weed use on both our parts. We still talked. In fact, in May and June, we had some really nice talks where we hashed out a lot of our old grievances and processed a lot of what we were unhappy with in each other and the marriage. We slept together a few times. I believe, though I'm not certain, that he was also seeing someone in June and July, which was okay because technically we were separated. Despite our nice talks, we still had a barrier of the child issue. At the beginning of August, he lets me know that we should move forward with the divorce papers. He was not ready for a child and probably never would be. 2 weeks after that, he told me he was seeing someone. I was devastated, but kept my chin up and tried to move on. I threw myself into work and mid-October started an ill-advised relationship with someone. I say ill-advised because they were totally emotionally unavailable, very forthcoming with the fact, and I really just used the sex as a distraction for my pain. But at least I'm moving on, right? Right. Almost simultaneously with my starting his new relationship, my ex told me that he's changed his mind. Then some soul searching. Decided he wants to get back together, go back to therapy, try to make things work, and have a family. I was so thrown, I literally laughed when he told me hysterical, absurd laughter. I didn't know what to do. I kept sleeping with my new person because it was easier. This continues for several months while I basically stick my head in the sand to avoid a shit show that my life has become. I kept searching myself for the will to break things off and get with the program, go back to my husband, but I couldn't find it in me. I was angry. I felt like I finally got to a place where I wasn't hurting at all time, and I didn't want to lose it. We filed paperwork in December. Fast forward to now. The ill-advised relationship has ended. Relief. I'm in a new city for the winter, a sabbatical for my life, and missing my ex so intensely I can hardly stand it. He called me 2 weeks ago to say a divorce didn't go through because we filed out a section wrong. I can't help but think the universe is trying to tell me something. Read it. Have I made a terrible, terrible mistake? I miss my partner so much.